Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching. The channel's called Ratchet. My name's Andrew, and on this episode, while the car's at the paint shop, I give the garage a makeover. Run the title. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, thank you for tuning back in for yet another episode. As you already know, this has nothing to do with the car in this episode because it is still at the body shop, no surprise there. So I thought I would spend my time as productively as I could still in the garage, get it cleaned up, give it a bit of a spruce up in readiness for the car, well, the chassis, to come back from the body shop hopefully soon. So I'll be giving you a little run through of my humble abode where all the magic happens and all the work that I've done in the last couple of weeks. So stay tuned and let's crack on. So let's start with the things that have made the biggest difference to this place. And the first one, without a doubt, is the floor. It's made by a company called Amtico. It is a click together tongue and groove floor system, so it's so easy to lay. It's waterproof. It comes with a foam backing already on the underside of the tiles. So it really is just a matter of cleaning the floor up and then just start laying. The biggest time consuming part about the whole flooring installation was moving all of the stuff around the garage to free up the space to then lay the flooring through. It's super hard wearing. It is also very resistant to point loads. So if you think about things like jack wheels, axle stand feet, etc., it should stand up very well to having those sort of loadings on it. And that's quite important if I want this flooring to stay in reasonable or good condition for, years to come. On top of that, just to try and finish it up, I then went around the entire perimeter of the garage with some skirting. So it's just pre-primered MDF skirting. And yeah, it's just a nice little finishing touch. Completely unnecessary, but very important in trying to give the garage a nice, decent feel. The next item, which has made a massive, massive difference, is the new plasterboard ceiling. Now, I had the lights up already. They are 4 1.8 metre dual strip LED lights that I just picked up from Screwfix, I think it was. But having those now reflecting off of a brilliant white ceiling, it really has given even more illumination to the garage. It wasn't bad before the ceiling went up, but now having this ceiling up and in place, there really isn't a single dark spot, especially with the light reflecting off of the light floor as well. It really has worked out absolutely superbly. Now, I've done some dry lining before to an old house, so I was fully aware of how fun dry lining a ceiling was going to be. But the thing that I did test myself with this time was actually skimming it in preparation for paint, which I hadn't done before. Now, if I'm perfectly honest, I spent more time sanding the plaster that I'd applied prior to paint than I think I did the actual plastering. So, you live and learn. Perhaps in hindsight, I should have just got someone in to carry out that final skim, but it's just the way. If I think I can do it, then I'm going to have a go. That's a sure fact. Probably the next biggest change is a change to the colour scheme. I wanted to move away from the red. I'd grown tired of it. It didn't really sit with the feel that I wanted to sort of create for this space. Now, I know that sounds horrifically pretentious, you know, talking about atmospheres of spaces and all of that craziness. But I wanted to try and tone down this, you know, the garage in terms of how it feels as much as possible. I didn't want any fancy floor, you know, like the standard sort of checkerboard floor that people do like to lay. I wanted to go for a super plain floor. I wanted to now go for a super plain colour scheme. No fancy grid lighting or anything of that nature. Just everything in the garage is just function with quite a lot of form, thought gone into it. But everything just needs to just work for me. Because at the end of the day, this is just a complete working garage. You know, it's not a showroom. When the GT40 is done, it can be put outside, and then that will let me just carry out general service work to the other cars that we have in the family. You know, so everything needs to serve a purpose. But at the same time, you know, when I do come in here and get a chair somewhere, I've got to have a chair situated somewhere so I can just come in, sit, look at the GT when it's finished, and just sit and have a beer and just admire what I've built. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, the colour has changed to sort of change up the feel of the garage a little bit. So the tool board completely, you know, took it apart, repainted it, put everything back where it belonged. Got some new drawers for my sort of oddments, for nuts, bolts, screws, brackets, washers, etc, etc. So again, just a very plain and simple grey. The workbench, liquor paint, again to tie in with everything else. I did have a friend give to me this big heavy duty sheet of galvanised steel. Now, this will come in very handy when I'm in the final stages of prepping the panels to clad the chassis. You know, it will just give me some nice flat areas to work the panels on. So that's an absolute result. And then the other couple little final bits and pieces, I've got myself finally a air hose line on a reel. That was blue. Well, as you can sort of see, the hose still is blue, but the actual casing itself, I took apart and again, color coded to match the grey of everywhere else. So I hope you can see how the garage has evolved over the last couple of weeks. I've certainly worked hard and I'm liking the way it is shaping up. There are a few little bits and pieces that I do want to still do here and there. So hopefully I'll get those done before the chassis does come back. You can follow me on Instagram, Ratchet GT40. Hit the subscribe button if you've not done so you don't miss any future episodes that I do release. In the next episode, I will be down at the body shop, and I hope there will be some good progress that I can share with you guys. And from there, I'll be able to get a better understanding of the timescales of when A, the chassis is going to come back to me, and B, when the actual bodywork is going to come back to me. So hopefully there'll be some good news on that front too. So up until then, take care, and I will catch you next time.